you said we would again? What about killing fields? Is there a time? What about all the things that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever stop to notice all the blood we shed before? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, these weeping shores? That you pledged your only son. What about flowering fields? Is there a time? What about all the dreams that you said was yours and mine? Did you ever start to notice all the children dead from war? Did you ever stop to notice this crying earth, these weeping shores? The stars. Now I don't know where we are, although I know we've drifted far.
Thank you. Whew. What a song to start us off, huh? Uh-oh. How about now? Can you all hear me? Front row can hear me. Back row can hear me enough to tell me you can't hear me. Hey, there we go. Whew. Some weeks I feel like I can't hear the people's voice. That would be better. What a week. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Rochester. I am so glad to be here with all of you, and I say this nearly every week because there is not a week that it is not true, but it is especially true today. I'm the Reverend Shari Halliday-Quan. I'm the lead minister here. I'm one of 3 ministers that serves this congregation. I use they and them and she and her pronouns, and that's a longer introduction than I normally offer, but I know there are people here who are here for the very first time. I know you came in today hoping that others' hearts are beating like yours, wondering what the heck we are all doing together. Maybe you've been here 1,000 times and you're probably also wondering that. You've come to the right place. Be here now, whether online or in person. We gather here in these gray walls, this place made sacred by the people, hallowed by our laughter and our tears. We gather here on the land of the contemporary and the contemporary and ancestral land of the Haudenosaunee. We gather here in a community of spiritual connection. And we gather because we have a purpose. We are a people with a purpose, not just on Sundays, but throughout the week. And it's three simple and yet challenging things that we gather around each and every week, things that we aim to collectively pursue. We hope that through spiritual connection in community, we listen deeply to others and ourselves, we open to wonder and transformation, and we serve together with love and humility. These three things of listening, opening, and serving, well, they were true last week, last month, last year. They were true a decade ago, and they will be true for us moving forward. The stakes are higher than they were. What it means to gather and to be present to one another feels more palpable this week than it did even last week. But what we gather to do, to practice, to be present and to sing, that remains the same. And I'm so glad that you are all here. If you're here because you are worried about yourself or someone else, it probably means that you've been paying attention. But if you got something specific, that this week, despite everything that we're collectively holding, you also had something going on in your personal life, I invite you to connect with our pastoral care team. Ruth Myers is sitting in the back there. Give a wave, Ruth, if you want someone to connect with, or shoot us an email. Helping each other, taking care of one another, asking for help, and knowing when we need it. These are some of the spiritual practices that ground us. So today we gather not just with my voice and that with Reverend AJ, our assistant minister, and those of Orange Sky, but also Amanda, our director of religious education, also our AV team up top, also all of you. Together we are the church, a congregation. And so we join our voices together. I'm going to ask you to rise in body or in spirit, and we're going to sing an old favorite of ours, Blue Boat Home. And I hear some yays. And for some of you, you're like, yes, this is a song that makes me happy every time I sing it. I have a lot of joy around this song. And some of you are like, I hate this song, or I have no joy to give. I'm going to need you to borrow some from a neighbor and know that it will not diminish theirs. And so as we sing this, let us remember that regardless of all that we are doing, whatever peasant or tyrant is born this very moment, whatever speck of dust you are and I am that makes up this planet together, we are spinning 1,000 miles a second on our blue boat home.
Below me, I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me. Hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me. Sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
So we continue by lighting our chalice, a symbol of resistance and unity throughout Unitarian Universalism. And we'll join in unison words, and I want to invite Jesse and Jamie to bring your mother, Sarah, up to light our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
Oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Oil wasted on the ocean and upon our sea. Fish full of mercury. Oh, oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Radiation underground and in the sky. Animals and birds who live nearby are dying. Oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more abuse from man can she stand? Oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. What about this overcrowded land? How much more abuse from man can she stand?
I'm Reverend AJ. I use he and him pronouns. And when I was in 10th grade chemistry class, one day, as happens, we had a substitute. Of course, we had no new content to cover. We were given a worksheet assigned by the teacher, Mr. Garrett, a review worksheet of some kind. And I don't know what it was exactly, if it was something in the relationship that I had with Mr. Garrett or my read on him, or something just in my literally sophomoric wisdom, that I thought this was probably just busy work and I could take the risk of just not doing it. So I busied myself with something else to do that class period. And the next day, we had class again, and Mr. Garrett was there, and he starts us on the next topic, the next unit, carrying on. Of course, another student raises their hand and says, Mr. Garrett, what about the review worksheet that you had us start with the substitute? And Mr. Garrett said something to the effect of, oh, that. Yeah, that was just busy work. I'm not even going to grade that. We're moving forward with the unit. And isn't that why we come to church? Because here, we do not obey in advance, as is the advice of historian and author of On Tyranny, Timothy Snyder. But more than just, or deeper, beyond just being contrarian, our faith and our values call us to use our minds and our hearts to think critically, to pay attention to what is going on around us, and to respond to anything that would take away our freedoms or ask us to do the same to others, whether that is isolation or exhaustion or fear, and instead respond with the antidotes of love, of connection, of community, and justice.
As we sing our next song, I welcome you to sing with Elias and Allie as they go through and sing this over and over again throughout. Standing now, calling all the people here to see the show. Calling for my demons now to let me go. I need something, give me something wonderful. I believe she won't take me somewhere I'm not supposed to be. You can't steal the things that God has given me. No more pain and no more shame and misery. You can't take me down. You can't break me down. You can't take me down. You can't take me down. You can't break me down. You can't take me down. Love and hate. How much more are we supposed to tolerate? Can't you see there's more to me than my mistakes? Sometimes I get this feeling, makes me hesitate. Makes me hesitate. I believe she won't take me somewhere I'm not supposed to be. And you can't steal the things that God has given me. No more pain and no more shame and misery. You can't take me down. You can't break me down. You can't take me down. You can't take me down. You can't break me down. You can't take me down. I can see the place of trouble, and I'm on the verge. I can't stay away for the love of everybody. I need something more. Now I feel some days of trouble. I'm in a house of war. For the love of everybody. Look behind the wall. give me something wonderful. Hey. You can't take me down. You can't break me down. You can't break me down.
Hello, my friends. I'm Amanda Graff, the Director of Religious Education here at First Unitarian, and I have another umbrella story. Some of you might remember a couple weeks back, we opened a big umbrella in the sanctuary. Do you remember? And a lot of people got under it. We were really thinking about how do we just make our welcome so big that just anyone would come through our door and think, ooh, this is where I want to be. So we have another umbrella story today, and sometimes you need that, well, we always need that big umbrella, and then sometimes under that big umbrella you might notice a particular person who needs a little extra shelter, whether within our church community or outside of these walls. So our story today is about an umbrella. And I want to invite any children who would like to come forward. We have loaned our carpet, a very good idea, to Orange Sky. But you can come and have a seat on the stairs or on the floor for our story. So come on forward if you would like to do that. And I have a special request during our story today. So if you hear me, or when you hear me during the story say boom, I want you to say boom right back. And I want you to say it like deep in your belly, like a deep, low sound, okay? So let's give it a try. Boom. Boom. Ooh, let's try it again. Boom. Boom. Good, okay. And then during my story, I will also say the word sanctuary. And when I say sanctuary, I want you to say sanctuary back, but in a deep, gentle whisper. So, sanctuary. Beautiful. All right, so my story is about a little girl who gets caught out in the rain. She left home without her umbrella, and she did not expect the skies to open up and the thunder to boom. Boom. There we go. Boom. Boom. Oh, man, I can hear them, but I can't hear you. I'm kind of surprised. So I'll keep going. We'll see what happens. So she's out in the rain. She's trying to find some place to stay dry, and she sees a shop that looks open. So she goes inside, and whew, it's dry and it's warm. And then all of a sudden she hears, oh, hello, little girl. She turns around and she sees a very old woman with just snow white hair and deep wrinkles. And the woman looks so kind and friendly. But the little girl's still a little scared because she doesn't know this woman, and she's being very friendly with her. So the little girl says, hi, can I stand in your store and just stay warm and dry? And the woman says, of course, you're welcome to stay inside my little shop and let it be your sanctuary. So the little girl stays for a while. And then the older woman starts noticing she's looking out the window, the little girl, a lot. She's getting a more and more worried look on her face. And the old woman says, it looks like you need to go somewhere. Like you have somewhere you need to get to. So why don't you go ahead and take my umbrella, and it can be your portable sanctuary to keep you safe from the boom of thunder outside and the rain and the cold. So the little girl says, oh, thank you so much. She steps outside and she opens the umbrella. And it's so dry and warm, and she's so comfortable. She feels so much better. She's not getting wet. She just is so grateful for the sanctuary of the umbrella. And so as she's walking along, headed to meet her family, she's meeting them at the library. She's walking toward the library, and she notices a man. Oh, standing over there, and he's got a newspaper, holding a newspaper over his head, and boy, is he getting wet, and he looks kind of dressed in a nice suit, and she's wondering, what's he up to? So she walks over. Hello, sir. You can stand under my sanctuary. It's my portable sanctuary. And as they stand there, they hear a boom. Oh, yes. Of thunder and the lightning. They see lightning, and so they find a little more shelter together, somewhere safe. And the little girl's looking at the man, and she says, we're close enough to the library, actually, and I see my family, they're going in. I think I'm going to leave my portable sanctuary with you, and I'll just go find my family. So the man says, I couldn't take the umbrella from you. I don't want you to get wet. But the little girl says, go ahead and take it. And so the man does. And it turns out that this man was on his way to a job interview. He'd been without a job for a long time, and he didn't have a lot of money, and he was pretty desperate that this was going to work out. And so he's grateful for the sanctuary of the umbrella. And he takes the umbrella with him to the job interview. He dries off a little on the way. And do you know the good news? He gets the job. He gets the job. And pretty soon he's able to buy a car and some nice clothes. And he likes his work, which is so important. He's got some sense of purpose, and he's enjoying his life a little more. And so he decides he's going to buy a couple extra umbrellas. And the next time it rains, he hears thunder, he hears a boom. And he takes his extra umbrella with him when he goes outside. And when he's out there, he sees someone else that needs an umbrella, so he gives it to them. And then the next time he goes out in the rain with the thunder and the booming lightning, he brings an extra umbrella again, a portable sanctuary. And he finds another person who needs it, and so he gives it to them. And pretty soon, all through this town, everybody's carrying extra umbrellas and just making sure that even when the thunder booms, that there's some sanctuary that they can share with their neighbors. May this story unfold in your hearts until we are together again. And I invite you to help sing the children out to their lessons.
We bless you on your journey through, from sheltering arms to the white sky blue, with your joyful jumps and your sad times too. Use us by being you.
We are so blessed by the presence of our children, who, among so many other bits of wisdom, remind us of the wiggliness of our bodies, the sacredness of our bodies. And so I invite you into an embodied prayer, one we've done a lot here, and one that I hope becomes a part of you, a thing that helps you, that grounds you, that helps you stretch when you're feeling like curling into fetal position and crying. So you can remain seated, or I invite you to stand with me, and we're going to get in on some of this umbrella action. So we'll start with our hands clutched around the umbrella, right at our hearts. And we're going to open up that umbrella and lift up toward the sky and unfurl our hands. Let the rain fall. Yeah, moan if you want to. That was great. And then turn your palms toward the ground, feeling the earth below us, and scooping up everything that's good, including an extra umbrella, and pressing it into your heart. We'll do it 2 more times, each time with fewer words. So starting at the center, we reach up. Let the rain fall. Feel the ground below us. Scoop everything good. Take it in. Once more. Amen.
Let us linger in the stillness of this space of meditation, reflection, and prayer for a little longer, sharing the blessing of silence. Great mystery which grounds us and surrounds us. Small spark of life and possibility that lives within each of us even when all else around us is crumbling to dust. Be with us in these deep waters of confusion and fear and, yes, even despair. Lead us to navigate these waters as slowly as possible, resisting the impulse to soothe immediately, to blame, to seek all the things that feel in the short term better than the hurt and the heaviness, but things which ultimately will leave us too isolated or too suspicious of one another, or too complacent in whatever comforts and insulates us. Help us not to make sense of things too quickly, but instead to feel all the wisdom in our bodies, all the wisdom from our ancestors, all the wisdom of received and ancient tradition, all the wisdom of prophets and sages in our times and times past. Even if in our bodies that wisdom right now feels more like a barb than a balm. Let us not run away from our grief, but allow our hearts to be broken open again and again, tearing and re-tearing as a muscle in strength training, grieving for all that has already been lost and all that is so dearly threatened now. Spirit of life and love and regeneration, even with so much going wrong, still our hearts beat and our lungs breathe with gratitude for the blessings of this life, for beauty and joy and humor stubbornly breaking through, even when unexpected, even when not entirely welcome. We are grateful for the compassionate companionship of community which welcomes all that we bring with us in these times and doesn't ask us to be smaller than we really are, or to be quiet in our questioning, or to make more convenient our heartache. And on this hallowed day, we're grateful for veterans who, in their service and sacrifice to our country, make good on their oaths to defend the Constitution and the precious ideal of a free democracy, fragile and experimental as it is. Our hearts beat with gratitude for solidarity and for mutual aid across all kinds of difference, and for the blessings of the trees and the wind and the stars, their cosmic witness soothing our animal souls, reminding us of the beautiful, if bittersweet, impermanence of all things, and the deep, deep interconnectedness woven throughout. Spirit of transformation, allow our hearts to be broken open again and again, tearing and re-tearing as a muscle in strength training. This muscle, the size of your fist, may it grow and stretch and interlock and interweave with the hearts and hands of others yearning for a freer world. Each heart a building block for a better society. Each life lived for hope and resistance and community, a prayer for a nobler world. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be. We enter now into ritual to bring what is on our hearts and lay it on the altar of community and spirit. Honoring the complexities of life, I invite you to bring to mind whatever grief is weighing on your heart heavily, whatever gratitude is there as well, or whatever growth you are yearning for or appreciative that you have experienced. Online, you're invited to share what these may be in the chat, and here in the sanctuary, you are invited forward to one of our altar tables to light a candle. If you would like an usher to bring a candle to you, please simply raise your hand. May we now share in this ritual of community care and witness to one another's hearts. All that we hold in our hearts for ourselves, for each other, for our nation, and for the world is held in this community and by the larger love that holds us all, always. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
As we are settled into our seats, please join us in singing We Would Be One. We would be one, as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show you all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow, a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for the meaning which binds our hearts and points us on a way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service with love and justice strive to make us
All that our church is and all that our church does is made possible by the time, talent, and treasure that we give to our shared mission. Members and friends support this congregation financially through regular giving, and on Sundays we also give through our shared collection. As part of the spiritual practice of generosity held collectively, 50 cents of every dollar is given away to a partner organization. This week, half of our offering will go to the Climate Solutions Accelerator, which works to create a healthier, more equitable, and regenerative community by catalyzing local efforts in the 9-county Genesee Finger Lakes region to eliminate greenhouse gas emissions and address the effects of climate change. You can give at rochesterunitarian.org/donate or by Venmo or here in the offering baskets as they are passed. In the spirit of abundance and generosity, the offering will now be given and humbly received.
On the turning away from the pale and downtrodden, and the words they say which we won't understand. Don't accept that what's happening is just a case of other suffering, or you'll find that you're joining in the turning away. It's a sin that somehow light is changing to shadow and casting its shroud over all we have known, unaware how the ranks have grown, driven on by a heart of stone. We could find that we're all alone in the
Thank you, thank you, thank you. For the watchers among us, I am going to preach a full sermon, so this is just going to go a little bit longer. Like the work of love and justice, it's going to take a little bit longer than we thought. Let's be in it for the long haul. This past week, as we turn to Veterans Day, and for obvious reasons, I found myself looking at what people look at when hope is hard to find. And I turned to this little blue book, Bless All Who Serve, which is a thing that Unitarian Universalism sends to people serving in the military and their families. And I found this prayer for wartime from the Reverend Mark Bellatini. One day, I pray, in clear and clean windows, reflections of families at supper, not mouths open in fear. One day, I pray, in wide, hot streets, clean air, not belching, oily smoke. One day, I pray, on warm spring nights, the sounds of crickets, not wailing or gunshots. One day, I pray, in human hearts, a prayer of thanksgiving for a peace that has lasted 100 years, not a truce, not a ceasefire, not something temporary, mind you, an era of peace, full and rich and just, that lasts. May our children, may all children live to see such a world. O love, may all children live. What indeed can we do? We can breathe. We can feel heartache. We can breathe. We can be loyal to spring. We can breathe. We can remember the difference between what we can do before we have thought and what we can do after we have thought. We can breathe. We can remember the ways that our feelings can serve our mind. We can breathe. We can refuse to sign our lives over into the service of panic or the hand-wringing of self-righteousness. We can breathe. We can get clear on our most basic values. We can breathe. Blessed are you, breath, for you are the spirit that sustains me in difficult days. Amen. I don't know about you, but I can breathe better outside. It doesn't really make any sense because I grew up in Southern California where fire is a season, and there were times where we could not breathe outside, but there is still something in me, perhaps the part that brought me here, that wants to go outside when I need to breathe deeply, like I have this week. So I took myself outside yesterday to a favorite hike. I took myself to Maplewood Park, where the rose garden's at my back and Lower Falls at my fore, and I looked at the sign for Kelsey's Landing, a place that welcomed those escaping slavery and ensured, guaranteed, made inevitable, the sign claims, that freedom was just around the corner. Here was a place where at the Genesee, those escaping slavery could board ships to Canada, to a better world, to possibility. Here was a place I have gone hiking many, many times. The last time with Reverend AJ, to his dismay, which you'll learn more about later. And there, with the gardens at your back and Lower Falls to your fore, if you go to the right, you'll see a statue, both impressive and creepy, if you've seen it, an homage to forgetting and remembering. And if you go to your left, and by go to, I mean if you climb under or over or through, or maybe squeeze around the fence that you're clearly not supposed to pass, if you go that way, You take a few switchbacks and then you go down to the water, to the river Genesee, to a place against cliff face and looking up at a Kodak building. This absurd juxtaposition of what feels like urban ruin and incredible, stunning beauty, where people who fish pull salmon out, where I have hiked a dozen times, and much to Reverend AJ's dismay, I have gotten lost nearly every single time. As Kelsey's Landing reminds me, Rochester has long been a place where people have practiced freedom, learned to do things that were not comfortable, learned to do things again and again in community. And so I resolved that this would be the time. If I couldn't control the universe or the election or even this church and everything you all do, much to my dismay, at the very least I could control knowing my way back. So this time I vowed to pay attention. I would make my way down, and this time it would not take me twice as long to make my way back, not because I am out of shape, though I am, but because I was lost. This time I would get it. So I got down there and I marked a pin on my phone, and then I started to walk and realized, well, I never remember if I'm supposed to drop a pin or label it or save it in my phone. I never remember which system to go to, so I did all three, and I started to walk again. And then I remembered that we are entering into a time, indeed are already in a time, but it will escalate, where we give and trade our comfort and our security, and where digital surveillance will increase, and where the ministers of a church like this will undoubtedly be deemed enemies of the state, and where my phone and my movement will be monitored again, just as they were during Daniel Prude protests. And so I thought, well, this isn't going to make the biggest difference, but maybe I probably shouldn't rely so much on my cell phone. So I erased this pin and the label and the saved location, and I looked up. And I looked up at this Kodak building, and I looked up at a story that so many of us here in this room know so well, where something that feels sturdy will change and eventually fall. And yet somehow you have and we will survive through it. And I looked up behind me at the rock face, and I memorized that place. I looked up at the path that once you come down it disappears from sight, a place that Reverend AJ knows well because he did not believe me when I said this must be the place, which to his credit was the 5th or 6th time I had said that. And I inscribed the lines of that cliff upon the tablet of my heart. And I rooted myself in that place so that I would know how to get back. Practice. Not 10 or 11 times, much to Reverend AJ's dismay, but on the 12th time. On the 12th time, I did not hesitate and knew my way back. These practices of spirit, of place, of breath, of movement, of community are literal. This is how we will sustain ourselves in the long haul, in the struggle for courage and love and justice. There are stories of practice like this all over, and in 1940, there are stories like the one I'm about to tell that happened all over Europe, some here in the States, some in Western Asia and in Northern Africa, stories of resistance, of collaboration, and of practice that happened all over. But this is one I return to again and again, and it is one that if you have heard before, I hope you will inscribe on the tablet of your heart. And if you are hearing this for the first time, I hope you will take it in and remember it and tell others. It is stories like this that we will need. All over Europe, there were a small number of individuals that aimed to help people, and in particular Jewish people, escaping persecution, escaping death. But there were some places, some extraordinary places, where more than just a couple of people worked together to save thousands. The small village in southern France in the mountains, a beautiful tourist location, Les Chambons, is one of these places. It's a place settled primarily by Protestants in what is predominantly a Roman Catholic region. And, well, that had been true for decades, indeed centuries. This tiny mountain village had about 5,000 people in it. And if you counted the surrounding villages that they considered themselves in close community with, it was about 25,000 people. This group of people sheltered over 5,000 people fleeing Nazi persecution between the years 1940 and 1944. 3,500 of them were Jews, thousands of them were children. This tourist town in the mountains turned into a village of children, but none of them knew who among them were Jewish. Speaking later, the residents said, "We never thought to ask." Magda Trachme, the wife of the local minister, explained in an interview later that those of us who received the very first people did what we thought had to be done. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't decided from one day to the next on that very day. It was just the thing that we did. There were many people that needed help. How could we refuse them? We had no time to think. We had no time to think, she repeated again and again. When people would press, "How did you make this decision?" she repeated, "There was no decision to make." Do you think we are all siblings or not? Do you think it is unjust to turn away others? Do you think it is unjust to turn in the Jews or not? Magda was repeating the phrase heard from the children in the school just a few years prior when a local Gestapo member, as part of the occupation, aimed to begin a chapter of Hitler Youth at the local school. The children there, having practiced their entire lives, said, "Wait a minute, we don't need to learn how to distinguish who is a Jew. We already know we don't care. We learn at church that there is no difference, that we are all siblings and neighbors." The children of that town had been practicing their whole lives. So, when Timothy Snyder, writer and historian, instructs us on how to resist tyranny, his first rule, and it is a good one, is to not obey in advance. And what this applies to is not to capitulate, to comply, to automatically move along the structures of law enforcement and oppressive government that will harm our neighbors, that will ask us to go along in the face of comfort, to go along in the face of oppression for our own comfort. But the children of Les Chambons have a parallel lesson for us. Each of us will move in the habits that we have practiced and cultivated. So to not obey in advance is a reminder that we must think critically when asked to do things that will harm one another, and that to obey simply because it is our job or because someone told us to is something we must resolve not to do. But that thinking, deciding, happens well before the critical moment, that our obedience might be to a higher and deeper and better practiced calling, what William Barber calls moral obedience, what we might call being rooted in our deepest values, what Magda Trachme said when she told us there was no time to think, but we did what we had always done. What will be asked of us in the coming months and years to follow will be difficult, and yet much of it will seem simple. Help others. The Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon, who offered our Sunday sermon and worship this past General Assembly, wrote this list as a sort of to-do for us gathered in communities of faith, communities of resilience like ours this morning. I begin with adding, receiving, and offering umbrellas, but her list starts like this. Get to know your neighbors. Feed them. Let them feed you. Watch each other's kids, grandkids, and pets. Develop the muscles of generosity like you are training for a giving ultramarathon. Share everything you can with anyone who asks and ask for what you need. Get in touch with your body. You will need it and it knows things. Pay attention to what is happening below your neck. Tell the truth. Tell it to yourself first. Sit at the feet of your most vulnerable neighbors and your own most vulnerable places. They have the most to teach you about survival. Listen. Remember your ancestors and the things that they survived. Find the resilience that is your birthright and the courage that made way for your life. Practice taking risks. Show up in every struggle where someone is fighting for their dignity, because that is how we will all survive. Learn about reparations and native sovereignty. Double down on exorcising supremacy systems from your soul. Learn to be tender. Refuse to be hardened. Let your heart be moved. Every damn time. Root in the place that you are. Learn its history. Learn its geography. Learn its seasons. Sing a lot and dance. Make art, make love, rest luxuriously. Eat pie. The world is ending and beginning now. We are surviving now. Let us love, let us connect, let us fight like hell for the dignity of each and all of us. Let us. But it is a lot. Each of these things will be required of us. Each of these things in the struggle for collective liberation. And when I say us, I mean all of us. It will be required of those who are vulnerable, those who know their own power, and those who are just waking to it. Those who have something to give, and those who feel like you have nothing now, but somehow, somewhere, you will receive and give. Over the next few weeks and months and years, you will hear other sermons, you will sing more songs, you will eat more pie that instructs you and reminds you and invites you how to be in a community that simply does what must be done. We are in this for the long haul, my friends, but we are in it together. We come on Sundays to be reminded of our deepest values and to be invited into simply the next thing. But Sundays are only the beginning. As one of you reminded me this past weekend, that, well, we come on Sundays, but the week is the work. And so this week, I invite you into the next simple step of what it will take to sustain ourselves and each other in the years to come. It seems deceptively simple. I invite you to gather in community. Just outside these doors are sign-up sheets, primarily but not only for meals. Get to know one another in small groups. For those of you joining online, connect with one another. We are going to need each other, not in abstract, not in theoretical ways where we love the people and we love our neighbors, but actually we think the people next door are jerks. Many of you have told me this week that the people next door are jerks, and you don't trust them and you don't know how. So consider this practice. Consider this an easier way forward for the things that we will need moving forward. Sign up. I am dead serious. Because this among all the things, this is a thing we will need this week. And so I close with the words of Ellen Bass. The thing is to love life. To love it even when you have no stomach for it. And everything that you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hands, and your throat fills with the silt of it. When grief sits with you, its tropical heat thickening the air, heavy as water, more fit for gills than lungs, when grief weighs on you like your own flesh, only more of it. You think, how can a body withstand this? And then you hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face. Not beautiful, no charming smile, no violet eyes. And you hold face in your palms and you say, yes, I will take you. I will love you again. This is the thing. To say yes to life. To say, I will love you. Amen.
Please join us in body or in spirit. Rise, dance, and sing with us New Beginning by T.C. Chapman. We're going to get started. When the chorus comes in, I want you to join. It is 4 simple words. You'll catch on real quick as we start our own new beginning. The whole world's broke and it ain't worth fixing. It's time to start all over, make a new beginning. There's too much pain, too much suffering. Let's resolve to start all over, make a new beginning. Now don't get me wrong, I love life and living. But when you wake up and look around at everything that's going down, all wrong, we see the changing now, the world is to the ending. We can resolve to start all over, make a new beginning. Now you're gonna join in with me. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. The world is broken into fragments and pieces that once were joined in a unified whole. Now too many stand alone, there's too much separation. We can resolve to come together in a new beginning. Let's get ready to start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. We can break a cycle. We can break the chain. We can start all over in the new beginning. We can teach, we can share the dreams, the prayer, the notion that we can do better and change our lives and plans, create a new world. start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. The whole world's broke and it ain't worth fixing. It's time to start all over, make a new beginning. There's too much fighting, too little understanding. It's time to start all over, make a new beginning. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. We need to make new symbols, make new signs, make a new language. With these we'll define the world and start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over. We're gonna take it one more time. We're gonna start all over. Start all over. Start all over. Start all over.
It takes community to accomplish tasks great and those seemingly small. And so on that note, part of us starting over for the week is for those who are able to help stack the chairs, only the chairs that have arms. Thank you, and we will now extinguish our chalice with our unison words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Sanctuary. Sanctuary. Boom. 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 We are both sanctuary and the thunder. Let us go out in our power and with deep courage and love. Go out in the world in peace. Go knowing that you are loved. Amen.
Start all over. 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 We're gonna start all over. Start all over. Start